Hey everybody, welcome back to the Preserves. In this video, we're going to go over how to choose a snare for you.
Do it. Do it.
If that sounds interesting, stay tuned. This is going to be a great video, and you're going to like it.
Oh, I like that.
All right, everybody, let's go over a few things that you need to do to pick a snare that suits your needs and is going to be the right one for you. The short answer for that is go to your store, local music store, pick out a couple of snares, bang on those sons of bitches, and freaking choose the one that sounds the best to you. Now, with that being said, let's go over some things that answer does not answer. So, number one, you want to go and you want to look for a snare that suits your size. What size of snare are you looking for? What depth in the snare? How big you want it to be. You want it to be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They got snares of every size nowadays. I think even AF Drum Company makes a freaking 24. Man, that thing is huge. It's just like a big old pancake snare. That thing is massive. And what application is anybody going to ever use that in? I don't know, but it's going to be used in an application. But that snare is ridiculously priced, and nobody has time for that. So anyway, in today's market, you're going to spend a little bit more on a snare. But, so, after you choose, what depth and what size of a snare you're looking for, because that's going to have a lot to do with the sound that you're going to get out of it. Are you looking for a wood shell? Are you looking for maple, poplar, birch, mahogany? There's a combination of a couple of snares, a couple of woods. Are you looking for a steel snare? You're looking for an aluminum one? Are you looking for a brass? You looking for a bell brass? There is a ton of different snares out there. And so what I say on that fact is every snare, even if I got two snares of these ones exactly, are going to sound different. So my first assessment, what I told you, is go in and try out a bunch of snares.
Do it. Do it.
Sometimes that can be, cause anxiety. It can be hard to do that in a public setting if you're not a great, well, I wouldn't say a great drummer, because everybody can become a great drummer. All you gotta do is practice. And I am not a great drummer, in my opinion, so I need to practice more. But what you can do is take a bunch of snares off of their racks that they have, and you can go into their sound room where they have a couple of kits set up, and you can take those snares and put them in that kit mix. Now, I'm going to tell you this right off the bat, they're not going to sound the same. Your room setting is going to have a different sound quality to it based on the amount of sound absorption that you have in there. Based, like in my room, I have on the ceiling above my drum kit, I have soundproofing there. I have a strip of soundproofing that goes all the way around my walls on both sides, with the exception of this side where I've got curtains because I couldn't hang them. I have a closet there, and I didn't want anything reverberating off of that, and so I put curtains up to sound deaden that wall right there. And then on the other side of that curtain, I have some studio foam on that side as well. So I have totally made this room, deaden the sound in it quite a bit, so it doesn't bounce around as much. So if I went into one of those sound booths, my sound would be a little bit closer to what that room is actually putting out, because I have studio foam in here that is deadening the sound just like in one of those rooms. You may not have that in your application, so remember that the snare will not sound the same in your room as it does in their room unless you have sound proofing of some kind, or sound deadening material of some kind. So just keep that in mind. But you can get it you can play them and get a sound that you want, that it sounds good to your ear, and then once you get it into your setting, you can tune that drum so it sounds good in that setting as well. So just keep that in mind. So, and then if you have a steel drums and brass and all that stuff, they're manufactured. Their manufacturing process is pretty close to the same across the board with every company. When they produce a snare, all those snares and in the metals, they're all produced the same. So you're gonna across the board, you're gonna have snares that sound closer in tonality than you do with a wood one, because a wood one won't be made out of the same tree. So most of the time you can go and pick up 2 wood snares and take them, and neither one of them are going to sound exactly the same. Versus, a metal snare of some kind, they'll sound closer in tonality than a wood snare. So, and then the next thing after you find a snare that you like with the depth and the size, the next thing you want to look at is your hardware. Now, the rings, the hoops, they don't matter as much to me as the lugs and the lug tensioner on your snare, because if the inside of these is not smooth, it won't hold the tuning as well, and so you want decent, and this is where it comes in, where you can't really purchase a snare under $100 unless it's used and get quality hardware. So my suggestion on that is to purchase a snare that's $150 to $250, and a lot of the times you can go into your local music store and price out some of these snares and find one that you want. The throw off should feel nice and smooth all the way until it engages. It shouldn't be sticky in any fashion. It should just move nice and smoothly. So make sure that your throw off is good, because when all the other parts on drums, you can go ahead and change out. You can get new snares. You can really change out your throw off too, but and then you're looking at way more money to get a decent throw off. You can change out your heads, so don't worry about that. You can, those are fairly inexpensive. You can get a new set of heads for, $40 or, so a little bit, maybe a little bit more nowadays. Depending on the heads that you get anyway. But make sure that the tensioning rods are nice and smooth. They go into the lugs nice. So you could take a drum key and just give it a couple of turns and then turn it back to exactly where it was. You can do one whole turn on it and then turn it one whole turn back to where it was, and that'll tell you if the lugs, and you don't have to do that on all of them, you do it on a few of them, and If a few of them feel good, then most likely the rest of them are good. But the number one thing is the sound out of the snare. If the sound sounds good to you, then you can make everything else better by purchasing a new set of heads. So, in short, the short version is just go to your freaking local store, find a snare that sounds good to you, and I wouldn't purchase it directly from a store if you're looking at a snare that's around $500 or $600, because you can get a really good snare. But just because somebody else is telling you it's a good snare doesn't mean it's going to sound good to you. But you can go in to the store and you can find a snare that sounds good to your ear. And then you can go on to your local classifieds, or you can go on to eBay or something like that, and you can find that exact snare. It's not, unless it's a metal snare, it's not going to sound exactly the same, but it'll be close. It'll be close enough to where you can put some new heads on it, maybe a new snare strainer, and make that snare sound good to your ear. And then the next thing is, what does that snare sound like in the mix with the rest of the drums and the cymbals? And the only way that you can do that is to actually test that snare inside that sound room. So that is a key thing. You are not going to know how that snare sounds inside of a mix unless you actually try it out inside of a sound room. And so it always comes down to try it out, try it out, try it out, try it out. If you don't try it out, you're probably not going to get what you want. I would say 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get what you want unless you try it out. But, so yeah, first, my top three things. Choose a snare that's in your price range. If your price range is less than $100, save money to get yourself up over $100. Number 2, try the snare out in a setting with more drums and cymbals and stuff inside of a sound room. Number 3, make sure that it is the right depth and the right size that you want that fits your application. Those are the 3 main things. And then number 4 is the looks. If you're really focused in on getting a snare that looks exactly like you want it, you got to meet those 3 criteria first, in my opinion, and then you go for the looks. I have some shitty looking snares that I wouldn't have purchased if I didn't hear them first. But 9 times out of 10, the looks don't matter as much as the sound. And you can get tons of snares that look amazing, and they're the latest and greatest and hottest looking freaking thing, and hell, they may not sound good to your ear, and they may not be what you want, and they're an expensive snare. You can go and get yourself I'm just using these as an example, like a Jory Jordanson or a Black Beauty or whatever the snare may be. Those are both great snares, don't get me wrong, and they do sound good in a lot of applications. But they may not be what you're looking for in a snare. So before you go out and spend $600, you need to try out the snare. With that being said, guys, I hope you found this video informative. And if you did, go down and smash that like button. It really helps my channel out, helps the YouTube algorithm push my video out to more people, because if people are liking my videos, which they don't like them very much, and I don't have very many subscribers right now, and so I'm trying to build that up, and I can only do that with the help of you guys. So go down, hit that like button.
Do it. Do it.
And go down to that comment section and leave me a comment. What you might want to look for in a snare. And also, hit that subscribe button. And that's it for today out of the preserves, guys. Peace!